University, Claudine Gay resigns, but not without taking a shot of racism. What a shock. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Rent Network. I'm David Solomon. I'm usually with Stuart Brisgell, who's away this week on vacation, a well-deserved one. But here at the Rent Network, we dive into the raw and unfiltered issues spanning the news, pop culture, politics, and beyond. Whether we're dissecting today's absurdities or delving into society's deepest seated issues. And racism is it. We're going to keep it real. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started today here at the Rent Network. So, in case you missed it, Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard University, tendered her resignation. And apparently it was, she was getting caught. It was looking bad. And let's just say it couldn't have come sooner. Claudine Gay stepped down yesterday amidst an unbelievable amount of problems surrounding Harvard University. I mean, let's face it, antisemitism didn't do it. Plagiarism and losing donations, that seemed to be the one that pushed her out the door, at least as president. Like, don't feel so sorry for Claudine Gay, ladies and gentlemen. She's still on faculty and she's still making a hell of a salary. But as president, she is now the shortest tenured president in Harvard's history. And did she apologize for screwing up? Nope. Did she apologize for not defending the students? No. Did she apologize for any of her mistakes, taking responsibility for her lack of, for her plagiarism, for her lack of caring for students? Nope. What she did do in typical DEI fashion was take a shot on the way out the door. She writes, amidst all of this, it has been distressing to have doubt cast on my commitments to confronting hate and to upholding scholarly rigor, two bedrock values that are fundamental to who I am, and frightening to be subjected to personal attacks and threats fueled by racial animus. Bravo, Claudine. You did it. You took the DEI that you were taught. Took the CRT, the critical race theory that came out of Harvard University, and you ran with it. Because you did exactly what everybody on the left likes to do. When the going gets tough and you're being called on your accountability, blame others. That's right. Blame others. And being that you're African American, the race card is the way to go. Now, don't get me wrong. Claudine Gay isn't alone. Al Sharpton and other so-called black leaders have taken on the same argument, the same comment, that Claudine Gay's push, her resignation, was because she's black. That's all. She's black. Imagine that. You see what we have taught our students, and you see what the university has done, and you see what Harvard has. Simple. This poison culture and environment in which your actions, if you are black, don't matter. The only thing that matters is the color of your skin. She was caught plagiarizing. Now, I teach at a university, and we all have to tell our students, and we have to write it out, that plagiarism is not just bad, but you get punished. You get punished. I had a professor, when I went back and did my master's, told me that when I wrote my paper, one of my papers, I didn't cite properly. And I have to be careful because the university doesn't stand for plagiarism. This was McGill, not Harvard. But Harvard, the bastion of universities, let the president of the university get away with plagiarism. Now, did anybody do their homework to look into her writings? Did anybody do their homework to look into what she produced and that she copied? She copied other people without giving them proper citation. That is like code of conduct number one. Maybe Elise Stefanik has to ask her that question next time in Congress. But that to me is just one action. But the fact is, your job as president, was to protect the students, to create a culture within a university that promotes the diversity, sure, that promotes dialogue, yes, that promotes debate and conversation and exchange, yes. But the campus environment at Harvard was beyond toxic. Students' lives were in danger, Jew and non Jew. Mostly Jewish, because if you were visible, you had a kippah, you had an Israeli flag, whatever, you were the target. And Harvard did nothing. Harvard did nothing. And yet, Claudine Gay is claiming that she is the subject of personal attacks and threats fueled by racial animus. What about the thousands of Jewish students and the thousands of other non Jewish students who do not agree with Hamas, who do not agree with this Palestinian cause? They have been physically attacked, not verbally, physically attacked on your campus, and you did nothing. But the straw that broke the camel's back was when Elise Stefanik, the Republican congresswoman from New York, who asked you point blank, is anti-Semitism against the code of conduct, the code of honor at Harvard? And your answer was, depends on the context. Screw you, Claudine. Context my ass. You did not care for the Jewish students. I'll give you another example of what I mean by that. Harvard hosted graduation celebrations for certain identity groups in 2023. But notice who wasn't invited to any of these. There was an affinity celebration for graduates page on Harvard. Now it's gone. You can't find it anymore. It's been deleted. And the website boasted events for, quote, graduates with disabilities, Indigenous graduates, Latinx graduates, which I find hilarious, LGBTQ plus graduates, Arab graduates, Black graduates, and a whole bunch more. But you know who was not? Jewish graduates. That's right. Jewish graduates were not part of this identity group. Why? Because Claudine Gay and Harvard University believe that all Jews are white supremacists, that all the white supremacists, well, were part of that group. And Claudine Gay, on her way out, along with Al Sharpton, along with other so-called Black leaders, are taking shots today at whites because Claudine Gay is Black. I'm waiting for President Obama to make a comment. I mean, he privately wanted her to be, to stake around because he just loves Jews and Israel. I mean, come on, let's be realistic. But Claudine Gay, instead of going out like Liz McGill did at Yale, who simply walked out the door, blew it, apologized, instead, she took shots at her about her race. Go figure. That DEI training. What a surprise. Look, here is the thing. It's not just about Harvard and it's not just about MIT who we're waiting for her to resign. She's been getting away with murder. It's not about just UPenn. Sorry, it wasn't Yale. It was UPenn for Liz McGill. My apologies. It wasn't, it's not just about that. It's about you did nothing to defend your students. You promoted, not defended, you promoted racism on campus. We saw this in so many cases on campuses across US and Canada. You know what's fascinating? Even in Australia, they were broadcasting and asking, what is going wrong at Harvard and all other American universities? How did this go so far off the rails? Look, Claudine Gay will say that she did apologize for her testimony after October the 7th. But one thing is for sure, Claudine Gay did something that Harvard is really good at. She got a lawyer. She got lawyered up. She made sure till the day she walked out the door as president, that if the lawyers will speak for her and not her. She did nothing and deserved to be fired. This is what we call accountability. But Claudine Gay's only thing she wants is for everybody to know that she had to go because she was black, that she was personally attacked, and she was offended by the racial animus, by the attacks. Please, you failed, Claudine Gay. You failed your students. You failed on raising money. You even failed on recruitment, as apparently Harvard is down 10% on recruitment. I mean, it's an abomination. But she only cares about race. She only cares about her being black. So the wolf in sheep's clothing was exposed, as is the mindset at Harvard University. The poison culture that is, the poison ivy that is. Folks, if you're considering sending your children to any Ivy League school, or for that matter, any other university, take the time and do your research. Find out, did the president of that school, did the board members of that school stop the racism, defend the students, or did they just let it go because the Arab money is flowing in, or because they simply don't care for Jews? Which is it? In doing research recently on universities, I couldn't believe the racism that was going on campuses in the US and Canada. But I was also pleasantly surprised at the number of universities where the presidents of those schools stood up from day one and said, we are not tolerating hate on campus. We will not tolerate racism on campus. And as a result, any of it that occurs, students will be suspended, expelled, you name it. It's all that had to happen. But Harvard, instead of leading by example, instead of showing its true leadership that it claimed to have since its inception, over the last few hundred years, has shown that it only cares about money, it cares about its DEI and CRT, and it only cares about everybody but Jews. So, what do we do? How do we keep putting on the pressure? Well, Bill Ackman, who was a former Harvard graduate, is wondering why the president of MIT hasn't been pushed out the door either. Well, that's what we got to continue to do, is put the pressure on all these institutions and universities to go out and call it out for what it is. We need it. This whole concept of DEI has been proven to be another twist on racism. Corporations are abandoning the DEI philosophy because they realize that DEI isn't truly diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's DEI for only certain people, as been shown at Harvard. Therefore, you include some, you exclude others. And that, unfortunately, is what has occurred. And Harvard has shown us that when you let that take over, people get hurt. And in this case, the Jewish community once again gets hurt. Folks, I will conclude with this. Claudine Gay today is continuing to be is a faculty member at Harvard. She hasn't been fired from Harvard. She's still on the faculty at Harvard. She continues to earn a hefty salary from Harvard University. Don't cry for Claudine Gay. She'll continue to be there. She'll continue to do, and she'll continue to spew the hate and blame and blame and blame. That, ladies and gentlemen, is universities today. That is your Ivy. So think about it. Is that the kind of education you want for your children? Is this what you want your children to learn? Hate, lack of accountability. What would you like? That's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in today to the Rant Network. We hope you found value in today's dialogue. Catch us again on Friday, because we're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. If you don't catch us live, download our podcast, watch us on YouTube, check us out on our therantnetwork.com page. We genuinely love your feedback. And until Friday, let's keep the dialogue going.